Hey guys, Chris here. You join me outside my brand new 2018 Volvo XC90 T8 inscription. This is my second XC90 in 2 years. My first one was a 2016 D4 inscription. So I've had the XC90 basically since the car came out, and they've improved a lot of things about the car underneath the shell, underneath the skin, that they haven't actually told people about. I can't find any information about this anywhere, but there most definitely are improvements on the 2018 Volvo XC90, and in today's video I'm going to tell you guys and show you guys how this car has become better in just 2 years. So the first thing you'll notice while sitting down in the 2018 Volvo XC90 is the updated Senses interface. The update actually came last summer, so if you have a 2017 model, you might have the old one, or if you have a newer 2017 model, produced after the summer, you'll probably have the updated software version. I actually have a whole separate video about this. Check it out up there in the right corner if you haven't seen it, or if you want to see this more in detail. But the gist of it is that they have made bigger icons here on the left, so it's easier to understand what you're hitting. So you still have navigation up top, but now you have, a different layout. So you have, this is dedicated to the map, and then you have on the side here, you have also, different functions. But also if you expand this, you'll have the functions will disappear, but you can also, expand them there. Overall, it's a much cleaner design and a more modern look. We're now in the town of Lillehammer, or Lillehammer for you guys who have seen the TV show called Lillehammer. And it's winter now, and in this town it's very cold, meaning we have a lot of ice on the road, giving us very uneven road surface. And that's a nice segue into maybe one of the most noticeable and one of the best improvements of this 2018 T8 XC90, and that is the ride. So a short backstory: my 2016 diesel had air suspension. This also has air suspension, and that car was riding on 20-inch summer tires and 20-inch winter tires, and that car rode very well. Not the best, but it rode very well. It was especially noticeable while, comparing it to something like an Audi Q7, that the Q7 was, a class above in ride, and that Volvo, though equipping its car with air suspension, hadn't managed to, find the best calibration for ride comfort and body control. And though that car was always comfortable, or for the most part comfortable, there were parts of, driving on uneven surfaces, especially over speed bumps and harsh impacts at low speeds, where I thought that the suspension, the setup could be better. So one of its faults and flaws was that it had, really nice air suspension waft at highway speeds, at more higher speeds, or on B roads, but at low speed, it could be a bit hard for, what it was, for being air suspension. And don't get me wrong, for being, suspension, it was always comfortable, but for being air suspension, I've experienced much better setups in competing products, especially the Audi Q7. But that is now fixed with this car. And this car has 21-inch wheels, so it has less rubber than my previous car. But the air suspension at low speed is... The Q7, I've always talked about the Q7 having the most comfortable ride in any car I've driven. And I haven't driven a Q7 in a while, and hopefully I'll drive a Q7 in not very long. But this car might have, as comfortable air suspension. If not, it's very close, but I have no complaints, because at low speed over speed bumps, it just has that wonderful there. That was, a dip in the road, and it just glides like air suspension is supposed to. The next thing Volvo have improved with this XC90 has to do with its suspension as well, and that is body control, because not only have they improved the ride at low speed, but they've also improved the body control at low speed and at higher speed. And that this has to do with they've been tweaking this car for 2 years already, 2.5 years. And it's wonderful to see a company like Volvo constantly improve their product. They just don't want to make a good product, release it, and then, you know, that's that. They want to constantly improve their product. And I actually talked about this a bit in the review I had of the previous generation XC60 T6. In the video I called 7 years in the making, or 8 years in the, no, 9 years in the making. And you could really feel that they made the best of the components of that car, because that car just was a wonderful car, but you know, its downsides was that the components weren't engineered as good as the new components, but you could really feel and see that they've tweaked the car as much as possible, and that's what they've done with this suspension. So not only have they improved the ride, but the handling and the body control is exceptional, because the old XC90 just felt roly and poly, especially when you compared it to the XC60 and the V90 cross country. It just felt tall and heavy, and this car doesn't feel that at all. Of course, that's partly due to this being the hybrid. So we have here in the center of the car, low in the car, we have a battery pack which brings the center of gravity down low, but still that doesn't explain or does account for the improvements in body control and handling in this car, because this car feels nothing like my old D4 XC90. This is so much better to drive on twisty roads. My next improvement on this car is something that's a bit polarizing, and you guys don't seem to agree, and I'm a bit on the fence, and that is cabin noise. So some people think that this car is very noisy, other people think that this car is quiet. My impression is that the previous XC90, my previous XC90 was quiet, but not the quietest. So coming from a lesser car, you'll most definitely notice that it's a quietly riding car. But compared to, again, the Audi Q7, which is a benchmark in many ways in this class, you can most definitely notice that the Q7 is a quieter riding car. But this now in the 2018 model, especially with the laminated glass, they have improved road noise, and I think this car is exceptionally quiet. We're doing now 90 kilometers an hour, and I can whisper to you guys, the road surface isn't the best, but this car also is equipped with 21-inch wheels with 275mm wide tires, and that will, you know, give road noise no matter how quiet the car is. And I do think that the sound levels, the road noise levels in this car is very impressive. And I actually think that they've improved it. It is definitely noticeable compared to my old XC90 that didn't have the laminated glass, but the laminated glass, you know, only does improve wind noise, and the wind noise is like non-existent, but the road noise also in this 2018 model is much better than my old 2016 model. But an area of improvement that nobody can deny is engine insulation, and this was actually one of my, you know, complaints about the 2017 T8 XC90 was when you rev the engine out, it could get a bit noisy and loud, but not anymore. So now we're doing, our propulsion now is electric power. I do apologize, guys, it's been a long day, so I'm a bit tired. But we're gonna switch over now to combustion engine. So now we're running on the 2-liter twin-charged gas engine, and well, you can't hear anything. So doing 80 kilometers an hour, electric power, gasoline power. Electric power, gasoline power. You can't hear the difference at all while on the move. And giving a little gas, you can hear the engine a bit, but what you hear the most is the supercharger, and I actually think that this engine makes a very cool sound. We have a brand new 2018 A4 which also has a 4-cylinder engine, and this engine is so much more refined, so much more quiet, sounds so much more better than that engine. And that engine sounds like a standard 4-cylinder. Not complaining, but this engine actually sounds pretty cool. And once you rev it out, it never gets loud. So they've most definitely improved that, and that makes me not mind this 4-cylinder engine at all. If this is the future of 4-cylinder engines, I don't need a V6. Honestly, guys, this is so quiet, so refined, and it doesn't sound like any other 4-cylinder I know, and I actually think it sounds very good. The last thing they've improved with the 2018 Volvo XC90 applies to this T8 specifically, and that is they've actually upped the battery power. And what's strange about this is that you can't find too much information about this. You can find some articles from last year when they did the switch from the 9.2 kilowatt hour battery to the 10.4 kilowatt hour battery, which is in this car. And that's a bit strange, but it's not something that's secret, but you can't find a lot of literature on it. But that is most definitely a welcome improvement, because one of my complaints about the old T8 is also that you couldn't drive that too far on electric power. I actually did a test in the summer at mostly low speed. So for you guys who don't know much about electric vehicles or hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in electric vehicles, is they perform the best in the summer when you have, you know, warmer temperatures, and they perform best at lower speeds because the engine is more efficient, the electric motor is more efficient at lower speeds. So I think I got 23 kilometers, like 16 miles. I'm gonna put the numbers up on the screen here, what I actually got. In the summertime, like 22 degrees, so perfect conditions, and mostly city driving at low speeds, not a lot of stop and go, mostly doing low speed traffic. And that was a bit disappointing, but I actually did a test with this car last week, and the temperature was like below zero, a few degrees below 0 degrees Celsius, and mostly motorway speeds like 80 kilometers an hour, 90 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour. And I actually got 33 kilometers, which is about, I don't know, 25 miles. So they've most definitely improved the range. They've done software tweaks giving this car more range, and that is impressive actually. So those are, you know, some of the secretive improvements, some of the improvements you can't find any information about anywhere. Most definitely not something Volvo has talked about, and other improvements such as the battery capacity isn't something you can find a lot about on the internet. Welcome improvements, and makes me, you know, regard this car in even higher respect. This car has just become better, and I can't wait for, you know, the next model year, and especially the facelift, which I'm hoping will come next year. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content and more content on this, my 2018 XC90 T8 inscription, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.